We're going to discuss some of the basic elements of kashrus and what it is that you really have to know to maintain a kosher home, a kosher apartment, a kosher dormitory room. So we're going to start, interestingly enough, I think, with milk. What about milk? I mean, milk is a topic. Many people are careful to drink Chalav Yisrael. And I'd like to try to explain what the issues connected to drinking milk are. Firstly, there's a Rambam. The Rambam is in Hilchos Ma'achalot Asurot, foods that you're not allowed to eat, at the beginning of the third parak. The Rambam says this: Kol ma'achal hayotzei mimin min haminim ha'asurim shelokin al achilatam. Anything edible that comes from an animal or a source which is prohibited, Harei oto amachal asur b'achila min haTorah. So the Rambam says categorically, without a doubt, we learn this from Psukim, that if somebody drinks milk, for example, that milk has got to come from a kosher animal. Kigon, chalav behema v'chaya hatmeim. He says, but milk that comes from a non-kosher animal, like it's a horse or a donkey, that kind of milk is certainly unacceptable, as are beitzei of v'dag tmeim, as are the eggs that come from inedible, unacceptable birds or fish. He says, this is ve'et bat ha'ya'ana zu beitzata ru'adin l'kol ha'asur ki ya'ana u'l'chol ha'dvarim hadomim l'beitza. So the Rambam has created a categorical distinction between food that comes from animals that are kosher, so to speak, edible, and those animals that are not kosher at all. And this we call kol hayotzei min hatamei tamei, and kol hayotzei min hatahor hatahor. Of course, this question, when it devolves upon milk, the milk that we drink usually comes from the milk of a cow. Now, the cow standing there is certainly potentially kosher. That is to say, I mean, it's a candidate for shchita, for slaughtering. And if it's slaughtered properly, it probably can be eaten. But what happens if we discover that the milk comes from an animal that when we set out to slaughter it for meat, for example, we were able to determine that animal was not kosher. It was not acceptable because it had some kind of limitation, some sort of blemish, some sort of illness, which was not visible to the naked eye when the cow was walking around in its former state. So that milk, interestingly enough, presents one of the great questions of modern times. And the question is, what happens if you discover that the milk has come from an animal that is not kosher? I mean, that's the question. When I say not kosher, what I mean is that the animal was discovered later on to be not kosher. So this question produces a mystery, which is then discussed by the poskim. More about this question tomorrow.